Will now be recorded.
Hey guys, welcome to the weekly watch list. And I'm going to go over a couple of things this week. So ES is breaking out to all-time highs, which is the S&P 500. And we're coming up to some resistance here. If I go back to the weekly chart, we can see this long, actually let me go to the monthly chart. So we can see this long uptrend here, started in 2016, this long uptrend here, and we're coming up to that resistance right now. So we do one of two things. We either get back above this resistance, which will take a big candle. So we're going to need a big candle over it in order to get above it. And do I think we will? Yeah, I do think we will. I think we will get above that. We have a squeeze forming to the upside. We have our RSI to the upside, and we have our DMI gonna switch over. It's already switched over the average here. I can blow that up. So it already switched over the average here, and it looks like it wants to switch over the sellers as well. We have a lot of buy volume that's coming in. Squeeze looking good. We should get that pop this month. So this month should definitely get that pop. Now, going to the weekly, we could see we're right at that resistance. Go down to the daily, so it's a little more clear. So we're hitting that resistance right now. So pretty much at that, right this actual second, we're hitting that resistance. So as long as we keep this uptrend on the daily, we should, bust through that tomorrow. But if we don't break this, which we will, because we have this bull flag here and it held support, and now it's firing that bull flag, and it's also firing a bull flag on the weekly. So we have multiple bull flags firing up. So this should bust through that, and we could even possibly get back inside of this daily channel. Now, if that happens, we should definitely hit that 3060 this week. If we get back into this bullish channel, that'd be very bullish for the market, and we will continue on up to 3100. Now, if we break this channel, we're going to be holding that 3000 mark. And if we lose that 3000 mark, that is a bad sign. And of course, we're going to come back and test this support. And if we break this support and we break this low here, that's really bad. So this low is 2963.50. So 2963.50. Okay, break and bad. So we break that and it's bad, real bad. Why? Why is that real bad? Well, because we've been making higher highs and higher lows this whole time, and we're really bullish. We've got a lot of buy volume coming in. RSI is getting over resistance here, and the DMI is getting really tight to switch over the average and push this higher. Now, if we switch and we drop, we're not going to be making higher highs anymore. We're going to break this and make lower lows. So that will be real bad. But looks really good. Looks like it's higher. It's going to go higher. And a lot of other things are telling me that the market in general wants to push higher. A lot of stocks are telling me that the market in general wants to push higher. So we might consolidate here for a little bit. Because we do need some type of catalyst, or maybe, it's definitely going to be earnings that are going to push this over. So thinking the bank earnings are going to push this over, and we're going to definitely get that for the bank earnings. I'm very bullish on the bank earnings. I think the banks are going to do a really good job, and they're going to soar. So actually, let's go take a look at, well, actually, let's look at NQ really quickly. So NQ, same thing, except a little bit behind ES. So NQ's long-term trend line is right here. So we're coming up to it, but we're not quite there yet. We're coming up to the first daily price target. We should push that and head to that second daily price target. And if we get back into this channel as well, that would be a very bullish sign for NQ. And for those of you that don't know, NQ is the NASDAQ, which represents majority of tech stocks. So if NASDAQ is very bullish, that means that QQQ and tech in general is very bullish. Okay, so ES and QQQ make up the majority of the market, well, big part of the market. Not all of the market, but a very strong portion. The bullish, the reason why the market's been so bullish is mostly because of tech, right? And if we want this bullish market to continue, then we need tech to continue also. Banks are not going to just hold this market up while tech sells off. It's not going to happen. Okay, so let's look at banks. So JP Morgan. So larger picture, JP Morgan is in this ascending triangle, kind of sideways consolidation, combination. But most recently, we're in this ascending triangle thing. So it's looking very good, very bullish. Go down to the daily. We had a breakout Friday. Okay, so we're breaking out. We held this trend, uptrend. We're breaking out here. Next, it should be heading towards that 116. And then earnings are going to be on the 16th, which is tomorrow. And that's going to be before market. Okay, so Tuesday before market, JP Morgan is going to release earnings, and I think those are be pretty good. So anticipate this one to break out of this larger pattern, and I think that it breaks at 119, and I think it does break 120, and it pushes higher. And if anything's going to do it, earnings is going to do it. If earnings doesn't do it and it doesn't break out, then it's so close, and this is going to come back and consolidate in here until this pattern is, a couple more weeks out, and then something's going to break it out. But I'm thinking that earnings is going to break this out, and it should start running to 125, 120, 125 area. That's a big move for JP Morgan. It's 115. That's a $10 move for a stock like this. That's a big move. Okay. Citibank, same thing. It already broke out from a larger pattern. So let me go to the weekly. So we have this downtrend here. It already broke out of that downtrend. It broke out and it's been holding nicely, but we need to break this high, and we haven't been able to break it. And it's just consolidating right there, and it's waiting for earnings. And earnings is today. So before market opens today, this one should pop, break that high. Then once we do that, we should be going to the 175. So earnings should bring it up. So this should open around 175 later on when the market opens today. We already made a low here, a high here, a higher low here, and we should be making a higher high very soon. My target is 175. Should make that high and possibly keep going or pull back. But I think 175, once we get above that, I think 175 could be a good support area, unless this wants to come back and hit 170 before going on. But I think 175, you want to keep that number in mind. All right. So let's go into oil. So CL, light crude futures. So here we have oil, and let me go to a higher time frame. So here we have a larger downtrend here, but we've been slowly recovering this oil market, making higher highs, higher lows. And we had this downtrend on the weekly chart here. We had this downtrend here. We broke that downtrend. Now we're above that downtrend. Now we're going to be testing this larger downtrend here, here, and here. So if oil breaks this downtrend here, and more importantly, get above 63.71, then it's going to start running to the next downtrend up here in the 70s. So that's a $10 move for crude oil. That's a big move. If it could get above here, it's going to go to 170 area. I have 168 as a target, and that's because that is a previous high. So break that, run up 68 to 70 is going to be my area of interest that I'm going to be watching. Let's see, crude, no, this one. Let's see, crude breakout. Okay, so I got my crude breakout. If that goes, then let's go look at Valero, because Valero is a high flyer. So we have this downtrend on Valero, this long-term downtrend on the monthly. Okay, we have this possible double bottom here, and we also have this very good support uptrend line. And Valero is looking very, very strong. It has good buy volume, very strong buy candles. We had a reversal candle here that was kind of worrying me, but then we had another reversal candle here which canceled this one out. So now it's just forming a bull flag. So it could consolidate another week before it breaks out, but I would definitely be watching. If oil decides to go, then Valero is one to watch. They do have earnings 7/25, so that's actually next week. Or is it going to be next week? It's in 5. So it's going to be Friday. Is that right? Let me double check. It's a Thursday. So next Thursday is their earnings. So it could, I don't think it's it could wait that long. Yeah, it could consolidate another week, and then the week of earnings, it could break out. But overall, I'm bullish on Valero. I think it pushes to the 90s. So if this actually comes back to the 80s, then going long a month out on some 90 contracts, that would be actually a very, very high probability trade in my eyes, considering the very bullish action and the tightness of this pattern. We're getting very, very close to this pattern, seeing how crude oil is. Crude oil is looking like it wants to push up. So naturally, a few weeks ago, I did a overview on oil and how bullish I thought it was because of all the Middle Eastern problems and all that. And I think that it's still going to go higher. I like Valero in this trade going into, if you want to be safe, I'd say, a month or two out for some 95s or 90s, and you should be rewarded after earnings. All right, so let's go into some tech. And what I really like is BABA. I really like BABA's setup for this week, actually. BABA has a very nice setup. It has this, support here and this resistance here. And then we're in between the 50-day and the 100-day. And we're holding support on that 50-day and on that weekly bull flag support. So I'm anticipating BABA is going to have a nice push higher this week. I think that, I don't know what the catalyst is, but I think that this week it's going to have a nice push. And it could push to 179, 180, definitely 170, 178. But I think it gets above that 100-day moving average, definitely this week. So that's 175 itself. So that's a $6 move from where it's at right now. So if we go to the daily, we could see that we had a downtrend. We broke that downtrend with this candle. We had a reversal on the support and we had confirmation here. So now we just need follow through. We should fill this gap at 173 and then push over this 175, or maybe we hit that 175, get some resistance, just like this one did, but I think that we pushed over it. So BABA is definitely one to watch this week. Put that on your radar. If you want to, buy and forget, I would buy some BABA, say August or September calls for 185s or 180s if you want to be closer to the money. But I think that within the next 2 weeks, we should be over 180s for sure. Next 2 weeks, we should be over the 180s, especially if the market can get over that resistance that I was just explaining to you guys earlier, that long-term resistance. If we could get above that, then BABA should be one of the ones that pushes higher because it's been a lagger. And speaking of laggers, we have Nvidia. Nvidia has also been a lagger. So Nvidia has been a lagger, and we can see that we broke that long-term downtrend already on Nvidia, and we're setting up this type of rising triangle kind of deal, kind of pattern. It's not necessarily a solid pattern, but we do have a weekly bull flag that's been holding, and we just need to break that 174. We break that 174, and this one is going 185 back to 200. We have extremely lots of volume, above average volume. So I'm anticipating that this one is gonna fly. So Nvidia looks very good, broke that downtrend, holding that weekly bull flag, and it's gonna fire that after it fires that 174, it should start running pretty good, and hopefully it starts running like the old Nvidia used to run, because the old Nvidia used to run for days. So if we go back to the old Nvidia, so if we go back to the old Nvidia, right, it used to run for days. So hopefully that does. Wow, Alexa's going crazy over here. Alexa, off. It's haunted. All right, so Nvidia looks good, breaks that 174, gets above that 200-day, and this one should start flying. But look at all that buy volume. Look at all that buy volume. RSI looks beautiful. DMI looks great. TTM squeeze looks great. Everything looks great. We get above that 174 and it's gone. And I mean, essentially, I'm calling for a $30 move. It's 167.61. I'm saying that, you know, in a month or two, it's good. I mean, not two, probably by August, it's going to be 200 for sure, especially if this month is going to be as good as I think it's going to be. Then we reclaim that long-term uptrend on SPY, and then the videos should start running, head to that 200 mark. Another one that is around that 200 is Facebook. So Facebook broke out of a weekly and monthly breakout. It is currently holding this uptrend line here. It is coming up on some resistance here, but after it breaks that resistance, we should be heading to 207, 209. And then we should be on our way to the 220s. If we get to 220 before earnings, which their earnings are, let's see, on the 24th, so I believe that's the Wednesday, next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday. So I don't know if we'll get to 220 before that Wednesday, but I think after earnings, we'll be past that 220. So I'm holding December 250 calls, I believe, and you know, I think those are going to be great. I think those are going to do well. I think that Facebook should push up. My target's 245. I think that once it starts going and it breaks this long-term resistance right here, once it breaks that and gets above that, and we clear that 210, we're gonna start getting some real good momentum on Facebook and start pushing higher and higher. All right, so let's go. Since we're on tech, go to Apple. And Apple daily, it has a ascending triangle on the daily, and it's holding that support area. We need to break this 204.50. Once we break that, you know, we should start going towards 210. And I think that Apple should start running and start heading back towards. My main target for Apple is 240. So I don't know if it's going to get there before earnings. When it's earnings, it's at the end of the month. I know that. Let's see if this acts right. All right, I hate when it does that. Okay. Well, I know Apple's earnings are at the end of the month. So it's about the last week of the month, I think. So I don't think that they'll get to 220 by that time, but it could definitely get to 210 and 215 by that time. And that's a considerable move. But if we do get to those areas by earnings and earnings is good, then I think 240 is definitely doable. And that's essentially a $40 move from where it is right now. So something to think about. I'm long Apple into August. So I'll be long it even into earnings, I believe. You know, depending on how much it runs up to earnings, if I get a nice earnings run, a run up to earnings, then, you know, maybe I'll, you know, consider not, well, I probably will still do a small position, but it looks good. It doesn't look as good as Nvidia, but it still looks good. Nvidia had a lot more buy volume, and its pattern looked a lot better, and BABA's actually by volume pattern looked a lot better too. So still bullish on Apple, but keep in mind if you're prioritizing things, then the other ones are kind of looking a lot better. Facebook, Nvidia, and BABA. So let's go to Tesla. Tesla broke this long-term downtrend. It's in this nice bullish uptrend. Friday broke out, broke this high, right, making higher highs. We're headed towards this 246.80, and which is this 100-day moving average as well. So this about 247 area, we should get some resistance there. But I think that we push up still, and 250 is still my target. 250, 260 area, the 258, that is my target. I think that Tesla is gonna go push that this month, and I would like to see it near that 270 area. But again, earnings, so, and it's doing this again. It's not letting me see. So 724, I think I got a glimpse of it. 724, so that next Wednesday or Thursday, next, I'm gonna double check that again. It is Wednesday. So next Wednesday, Tesla. So this could definitely push to 270 if they have good earnings. I mean, they've been beating their numbers and their deliveries. Let's see if they actually turn a profit and beat earnings. And if they do, then we could definitely see 270, and then we'll get a short squeeze, and that short squeeze will lead it back to 300 if there is a short squeeze. Okay, and that might be a short lasting 300 and it could pull back, but if it does push, then if it does get that short squeeze, it can definitely push to 300 easy. I know Friday I mentioned in the chat room if you wanted a real lotto to get December 300 calls on Tesla, and you don't even really have to go that far out if you're anticipating a short squeeze for earnings. You get some August or September, probably some September. That would probably be less risky if you're bullish, right? All right, so did Nvidia, Tesla, Apple, BABA, QQQ, NQ, Cat had a big day Friday, real big day. So going back, I've said that Cat's in a long-term downtrend, but it also on a monthly bull flag. So if we break this channel to the upside, which we currently are trying to do, then we're essentially going to be running really good, especially if we break this 144.77. We break that 144.77, we're going to start running to 160, and that's a $15 move on Cat. And then after that 160, if we break that, we're going to 173. So that's essentially where we're at right now, 138. That's, a $40 move into the 170s. So a $35 move. That's a strong push. And if we look at the daily, we could see that Cat had a very, very strong push from that weekly support. And once we break this high, because what does this tell us right here? Well, this tells us there's a lot of sellers here. Why? Because Cat hit this area and it sold off all the way down to here. So there's a ton of sellers here. And what does this tell us? There's a ton of buyers here. So what's gonna win? Are all the sellers here gonna win? And when we get to this point again, is it gonna sell off again? Or is there enough buyers in this area that are gonna exceed the amount of sellers that are in this area at 140? So we're gonna go and test that. And if we get above that 140 and there isn't that many sellers anymore and the buyers are overwhelming, well, this one's going to push, and it's going to push to that 144. And if it pushes that 144, 145 area, it's going to push and it's going to start running, and it's going to continue running. And it's going to have a major breakout, and CAT's going to be one to watch, because if that gets that major breakout, you know, just like it says, break this into the moon, it's going to start running. It's going to start running hard. This might be the beginning. This might be the beginning. I mean, look at, there's so many buyers that it gapped up and had a big day. So you don't see too many gap and goes. This one gap and went. Usually you'll see a gap and consolidate, or a gap and sell off. This one gapped and went. That's very strong, very, very strong. All right, let's see. Amazon, a lot of people love Amazon, so let's go take a look at Amazon. All right, Amazon is in very exciting times right now. So Amazon has a monthly bull flag, and it's testing, or it will be testing, that monthly breakout very, very soon. And if it gets that monthly breakout, we could be going to 2350 over the course of, you know, time, not immediately this week, but over the course of, say, the month or 2 months. Okay, monthly targets take about a month or so. Okay, so the weekly, we had kind of that inverse kind of cup and handle kind of thingy. We had this kind of cup and handle here. We broke out. Okay, now we're very, very close to that 250 breakout. Once we hit that 250 breakout, 2100 is coming real fast. So we look at our daily and we see we had a dark cloud covering put in on Thursday, but we never got it confirmed, and we had an inside day, so pretty much kind of like a bullish Rami, but it just canceled out the dark cloud covering. So it was just a reversal and a reversal, so pretty much canceled it out. So now this is just a bull flag, and this bull flag is either going to break this 2035.80, and if it breaks that 2035.80, we're definitely going to break that to 2050, and we're going to go to that first price target of 2070. We're going to 2070, and if we could get above 2070 and hold it, 2115 is coming. But literally, if we get above 2050, I would be buying 2100s for sure. And if we pull back, if we have some pullback and we fill this gap and hold 1986, then I'd be a strong buyer of Amazon right there at 1986. That'd be a very, very strong buy zone to push this higher into the 2100s, because it's going to go. It's just a matter of time. So if you want to buy a couple months out for, you know, 2100s, 2200s even, you know, you could definitely do that. We have a nice little inverse head and shoulders. It's not perfect, but it's there. It meets criterias. So it's breaking out. We just need the continuation. So 21, then 2200 is going to come, and that's the weekly targets, and it's that doesn't even hit our monthly target. Monthly target, first one is 2350. So that one, if we get good earnings, which, man, this thing is just no good today. Doesn't want to act right. All right, so earnings probably going to push it, and push it to, you know, 22 and above. But I would start to be on long Amazon train. So I mean, above that 1820 was my point in where I was long. I was, you know, saying you got to go long Amazon above that 1820. Above 2050, you gotta go long Amazon. All right. Let's see. Covered. All right, let's go back to ES really quick and see what it's doing. So ES still having, trouble at that resistance, which, it's going to be given that's not a weak resistance, but I think we're going to push over. So let me double check on something really quick. All right, so let's go to SPY. All right, so SPY. So SPY is after hours, it's right at that yellow line. So again, we push that, we're gonna get above and get back in this rising wedge channel and push to 304 and possibly 306 and 307, even 308. We could push that, and then we could definitely, when we're at 307, 308, even 310, we could break down and then come back and test that bullish uptrend that we got above. And then once we test that, so, this is how typically it works. It doesn't work like this every single time, but typically this is how it works. If we break above this long-term uptrend and recapture that bullish uptrend, we're gonna come back and test that to see if it's gonna hold as support now. And if it does hold as support, you wanna buy there. You wanna buy there, just, go all in. Essentially, that's kind of like the concept of the back test and confirm. If it back tests and it confirms that it's good, then it's gonna start running hard. And if it starts running hard, you're gonna look back on that months later and be like, man, I should have bought there. So we're gonna push up. If you miss a big push, don't get too scared. Typically, we'll have a back test. Not to say that it's a guarantee, because it's not, but we should back test, and then once we confirm that it's holding, then we could push up. And that back test could not come, immediately. So we could run up, and then come down and back test, or we could back test later on. But typically a back test is necessary for this type of break above, because this is a very strong uptrend and it's a very important uptrend. So the stock needs to come back and see, is that going to be support? Is it going to hold? Because if it doesn't and it breaks down and it breaks below it, that's bad news, and we want to get out, and we don't want to be buying there at all. So 305 is a good target. 301 is my first target, which it's at right now after hours. It actually hit that target after hours and got some resistance. Of course, it's going to be resistance because it's at that long-term uptrend as well. If we get above that long-term uptrend, then 304, 305 area is going to be my next target, and then that should be some area of profit taking and some consolidation. And then earnings is gonna be what's gonna push us higher and higher. But I think that we will go back into this channel and we'll start climbing up here until it gets tight, and then we break down. All right, guys. Well, I hope that I covered everything that I wanted to cover, and I covered the financials, I covered the banks, covered the oil, covered tech, covered Amazon, covered Nvidia. All right. Netflix. I did not cover Netflix. Okay, let's go back to Netflix. Netflix. So Netflix, let's go to the monthly. So Netflix has this inverse head and shoulders, and this right shoulder is a little tight, but it's still a little dip and then come up. So we need to break above this because it's resistance. Now we go to the weekly. It looks a lot better. Yeah, weekly looks a lot better. So we have this inverse head and shoulders. We break above that 385 and we start pushing. First target's going to be 326, which is a couple dollars above all-time highs. And then next target is 480. So anticipating by the end of the year, Netflix should be close to the 500s, if not above the 500s. Because if this one starts running, it's gonna hit that 380 sometime this year. Because with earnings, it'll probably hit 420. 420, definitely gonna hit 410, but it's definitely gonna hit 420 if earnings are good. We have a nice squeeze on it. Indicators are all bullish. Squeeze looks very good. That squeeze fires, and then we're going to start running 450 easy within the next 2 months, and 480 possibly in the next 4 months or sooner. Could be sooner. Depends on how much momentum this takes in, but definitely before the end of the year. All right, so Friday was a very good day to buy Netflix because it hit daily support and it held, so that's a good sign. If it breaks and gap fills here at 370, I would still think that's a buying opportunity for earnings, which are Tuesday. Oh, look, now it wants to work. So earnings are Tuesday after the market. So I think it might consolidate, possibly tomorrow, put in a bullish Harami, maybe, if it gaps up. Maybe it gaps up and does nothing. That would be a positive because it put in a bullish Harami, and then that would be signal that Tuesday would be, the start of an uptrend. And if this breaks out, 385, and then we're running 400 and higher. So if we don't really do much, I think earnings will probably push it to maybe 405, 410. But then if it gets a short squeeze, or the inverse is going to fire off, so then it'll start running. It'll start running more. But looks good. Buy volume looks good. Holding moving averages, that looks good. All moving averages are below 200 days, below 100 day, 50 days below. So prices above these, that looks good. I'm bullish on Netflix. So we'll see. It did break this uptrend, but it's holding that support. So that's all that matters to me right now until that support is lost. And more importantly, until this gap fill is lost, then I'm not going to be worried. I'm long August calls, and I'm going to hold for the earnings and see how it happens. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.